In the news this week, the scandal surrounding trans charity Mermaids intensifies. Activists move forward with plans to legalise assisted suicide in Scotland. And evangelicals in the Church of England warn it not to abandon biblical teaching on marriage. Hello. The controversial pro-trans charity Mermaids has come under increasing fire as scrutiny of multiple safeguarding issues intensifies. Scandals to hit Mermaids in recent weeks include poorly supervised internet chat rooms, chest binders for children, and the resignation of trustee Dr. Jacob Breslow over revelations he had promoted paedophilia. During Prime Minister's questions, Miriam Cates MP asked the Prime Minister if she agreed that it was time for a police investigation.
Over the past week, serious safeguarding failures by the children's charity Mermaids have come to light. Revelations that the charity sent breast-flattening devices to young girls behind their parents' back, promoted harmful medical and surgical procedures to children, hired a trustee with links to paedophile organisations, and a digital engagement manager who posted pornographic images online, including of himself dressed as a schoolgirl. For years, despite whistleblowers raising alarm, Mermaids have had unfettered access to vulnerable children.
In response, Liz Truss said of course those matters should be raised and should be properly looked at. Speaking to GB News, the Institute's Simon Calvert dismissed LGBT activist Peter Tatchell's claim that most medical interventions Mermaids endorsed were not irreversible.
I've got to pick up on something Peter said. Peter said that most of the interventions are reversible. That's demonstrably untrue. The very reason why everybody's now so worried about puberty blockers is that it's not reversible. It causes permanent damage, and everybody's now having to admit that. And certainly in terms of surgery, that's not reversible, is it? And what are we finding now? I mean, we need to hear from the voices of detransitions, the people who have followed the Mermaids type line and deeply, deeply regret it and can't go back. They've had the hormones, they've had the surgery, and they can't undo it. And anyone who's heard those stories will know that it breaks your heart. So the idea that it's reversible is just such utter rubbish.
Scotland is a step closer to removing safeguards which protect vulnerable people from assisted suicide. Liam MacArthur MSP confirmed he has secured the right to introduce his Assisted Dying Scotland bill to Holyrood after it gained sufficient support from his colleagues. MacArthur's plan would allow anyone aged 16 or over deemed terminally ill and who has been resident in Scotland for 12 months to receive help to commit suicide. Disability campaigner Dr. Miro Griffiths called on MSPs to reject the bill. In nations where assisted suicide and euthanasia are legal, we have seen an undeniable lapse in the value ascribed to human beings. Disabled people and people with mental health conditions are not given the respect, protection and affirmation they deserve. And finally, the Church of England has been urged not to repeat the mistakes of other parts of the Anglican Communion as it revisits the issue of same-sex marriage. The Church of England Evangelical Council, or CEEC, spoke with church leaders who have experienced the divisions that occur when their governing bodies change their position on marriage. One, Reverend David McCarthy, told of the damage done when the Scottish Episcopal Church voted to allow same-sex weddings.
In Scotland, when the change came, I had long said that I would not be able to function under Episcopal leadership who had adopted canonical change that allowed for same-sex marriage. But it was one of the most difficult and painful experiences of my life. I had given 30 years or more of more than half my life to serving in this church, and it felt like the church was abandoning the gospel, abandoning the Bible, and abandoning me, really, and that hurt.
The CEEC's John Dunnett said, "We know there are deeply held and completely incompatible convictions within the CAB, and that surface-level solutions simply won't work." Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.